are you willing to pay higher? Have you ever buy something with name saying limited edition? Limited edition is always expensive. So same with natural resources. If it's expensive, it means you have it in small amount, and the more you exploit, use it, the amount going to be decreased, and as a result, it will impact on its price as well. So here, I'm asking you to look at these two examples. One is the land price in Bangkok. One is the over-exploitation of soil somewhere in agricultural area. Which one that you think has higher value? Land in Bangkok or land in, like I said, in Chiang Mai, let's say, or in Nakhon Phanom? This one land in Bangkok, that one land in Nakhon Phanom. Which one has higher value?
Bangkok.
Why? Huh? Because you know the price. You know that it has limited space. Bangkok is actually very small. So when you know that the area, this is the land price in Bangkok Central Business District, and you see that it's increasing. The red one is Plenjit area. The green one is Sukhumvit. The white one is Silom and Sathorn. So the price of the land keep increasing like 400% compared to this year. And this is mainly because of the limited availability. And also, while you understand very well, because land has price attached to it. When you want to buy a piece of land, you have to exchange it with money. So when I ask which one has higher value, what comes into your head is like the price of land in Bangkok is more expensive than the price of land in Nakhon Phanom, therefore it has higher value. But when you look at this one, can you estimate the loss of soil quality here? Can you? You said that it has less value compared to one in Bangkok, but how can you estimate? Do you know that this one has less value?ก็มัน less ไงคะมันต้องมีเหตุผลดิเวลาตอบกูว่ามัน less value there should be a reason. How do you know that it has less value? How? It's a rural area, not a business district. It's not in the economic area. Lower demand for land. But can you compare value exactly? Now you have the price of land in Bangkok, but you don't know the price of land in Nakhon Phanom. And even if you have the price of land in Nakhon Phanom, you can compare just that. But you cannot look at the ecosystem service here. When I say that over-exploitation of soil, I'm showing you the pictures of soil erosion. You have to be able to convert that into monetary terms. And then you can compare. Right now it's quite clear. But if I'm asking you land in Nakhon Phanom and land in Songkhla, difficult for you to compare, right? So this is why we are going to do it. How to evaluate this economic value of soil. Here is easy. That one will be a little bit more difficult compared to what we have in Bangkok. Now, I think that in order to assess the value of ecosystem services, it doesn't have conventional market value. Land in Bangkok has market value. That is why you can easily tell me that it has higher value. But ecosystem services don't have market value. How much do you pay for clean air? How much do you pay for controlling the climate functions of ecosystem? We didn't pay, but you know that you need clean air, right? But how much is the value of that clean air? Nobody knows. So we have to do this kind of estimation. The problem is no market value. And because of that, To some people, it doesn't exist. To people who cannot link environmental service to the value, they don't think that natural resources or ecosystem services has value, but actually it has. Now the challenge is that how can you make people reveal or express this value? Like when I'm asking you, how can you assess the value of soy in Nakhon Phanom? You just like, I don't know yet. But this is the thing. You can ask people what is the price that they want to pay to buy a house in clean area. In terms of ecosystem services or natural resources, you don't estimate the price of soy, but you use something that already have market value and link it. I'm asking you of 2 plots of land, one in clean area, one next to the garbage dump site. Which one would you prefer to stay? The clean one. How much would you willing to pay? The higher you're willing to pay, the higher the value you give to clean environment. So instead of looking at clean air and trying to calculate the value of clean air, you just go to ask people, how much would you willing to pay? What is the price that you value your clean environment? The thing is, it is very difficult to let people express that in number. If I just ask you, no examples of plot of land or something, and I ask you how much would you willing to pay for clean air, can you give me number? No, because you also have no idea. But if you can link that clean air to clean environment to something that already have market value, it will be easier. So instead of asking how much will you pay for clean air, I ask you how much would you pay for land in clean air area. And then that's reflects something. Okay, so these are the things that we're going to try to work out today. And yeah, price paid for trip to see beautiful nature. How much do you pay per trip? The higher amount of money you pay to go to a trip with very beautiful environment, that is the value that you give to the environment. Here, time spent in the traveling to observe nature. If you don't mind sitting in a car for 8 hours just to see beautiful nature, you think that it's actually have value. And then we calculate time that you get, or if you work, how much you will earn. If you earn 5,000 baht per hour, and you're willing to spend 8 hours in a car to travel, then this is multiplied and convert into value that you are allowed to spend in that trip. So these are the examples of what we have. Now, economic value of ecosystem can be measured by maximum amount of other goods and service people are willing to give up to obtain that good or service. Whatever that you want to give up in order to get your goods and services from ecosystem, that is the value of it. Okay? You can possibly weigh the benefit from activity like dam construction against the negative impact on fishing, on livelihood of nearby community, and on the change of the aesthetic value. So this is also another possibility. Sorry. This is just to show you the economic value of coral reef. There are at least 4 kinds of economic value. Food and fishing. If you have coral reef, then you can produce a lot of food, you can do the fishing. Tourism and recreation is also a benefit. Can you estimate the value of tourism and recreation? Yes, per amount of money that tourists pay in that trip. This is amount of fish that is also in the market. Medicine, also you can estimate this. You get medicine from the coral reef. How can you estimate the benefit of this one? If people get the medicine from here instead of somewhere else, how much do they have to pay? All of these already have economic or market value. That's why it's easy. Last one here, coastal protection. can you convert coastal protection into economic value? Can you convert coastal protection function of the coral reef into monetary term? How? Price of any construction that you have to do. This is one way. If you don't have coral reef, and then you have to do many construction around the coastal area to protect coastal erosion, that is the price of the coral reef itself. This is the service that they provide. I can see that some of you got this concept before. Some of you have blank face. ไหม แบงค์ไหมคะหรือว่าแบงค์หน้าหรือแบงค์เอง ใครยังไม่เก็ตคอนเซ็ปต์หนูไม่เก็ตYou use something with market value. That's right. I would say that let's just take one example. Ecosystem service. I take this coral reef as from coral reef. We have food and fishing, yeah? We have tourism. And the conservationist, I said that coral reef is very important, and I want to conserve coral reef. Now, to tell you that coral reef is very important to some people, I have to explain it's very important for me and very important for you, are totally different on different scale. So I want to convert this very important into one scale that all of us understand. This is subjective. My importance and your importance not equal. So convert this subjective term into something that is clear and precise and on the same scale. Same scale of understanding. What is that scale? I would say that it's money. That is why in environmental economics, we convert every subjective value, like very important, significantly important, into monetary term. Now I'm asking you, how can you convert food and fishing into monetary terms? Market, right? These already have market value. If local people in that area could catch every day 500 kg of fish, you know the market value of fish, the price of fish sold in the market, you multiply with that price, you get market value per day. You multiply with 365, you get per year. And this is a small number that I give you as example. In reality, it can be very high. Tourism, how can you estimate this? This is price of fish. Tourism, how much tourists spend per day? How many days per trip? Multiply it, you get the tourism value. Multiply with days, multiply with numbers of tourists. then you get everything related to market price. This is price of fish, this is spending, again money. Medicine. If we could get medicine from the coral reef, it means you don't have to go to see doctor and buy modern medicine, right? Just like compare easily. I don't know what kinds of medicine they get out of it, but if just simple that you can eat some seaweed over there and it helps protecting your health somehow, then you don't have to go to buy new medicine. You don't have to get payment. Again, market value. This is the price of medicine that you don't have to buy. If there's no coral reef, you have to buy medicine. So again, this is related to price. My last one that I will ask you, I say that coral reef have the function to protect coastal erosion. How can we estimate the value of coastal erosion function? You have to have two cases with coral and without coral. So with coral reef, and if it's really protect the coastal erosion, you don't need to do anything. Without coral reef, you have to do some construction. If you remember when I showed you during our intensive course, I showed you that file from Bangkok. And I said that Bangkok, Bang Khun Tien area, they plan to construct a kind of seawall in order to prevent coastal erosion. So this is the one. If you construct seawall, what is the price of it or cost of it? Again, this has market value. With coral reef, you don't have to spend this money. So this is the amount of money, or this is the value of coral reef in terms of coastal erosion protection. So we have to try to find market price, and then you sum it up. So if you sum up everything that I listed here and I circle it, these are all money-related things, then you're going to get total benefits of coral reef. Okay? So this is the idea. Convert everything into monetary terms, sum it up, you get total benefits. And when I say that you have this, every time that you want to do something, you have to compare costs and benefits. If I'm taking this without coral reef as the case study, all development project you need cost and benefits analysis. On that side, I show you the examples of how to calculate benefits of ecosystem services. But in terms of doing some projects, some activities, you have to go through this cost and benefit analysis. So there normally will be, again, with or without situation. Okay? If I say that we don't have coral, and we want to construct seawall, you know the cost of this one, but then just to convince people that this is needed, you just have to find the benefit of it as well. So you have to do the cost and benefits for construction. What is the cost? This is investment for the, okay? That's the construction. You may have to do O&M and maybe an M as well, as Dr. Alisa said yesterday. You have to monitor whether your seawall is still working. So there's already two kinds of costs. Is there any effect on local community? Do you have to compensate them? If you have to move them, relocate people to stay somewhere else so that you can construct this, will there be any compensation cost that you have to pay? Will this seawall affect living things in that area? Will it affect fishery? How much amount of fish that you used to get and you don't get it anymore? What is the benefit for having this seawall? Less erosion. Again, how can you convert this less erosion? What is the benefit of less erosion? And then you come up. Again, monetary value. Less erosion means people don't have to, they still have their land. They can earn money from their land. How much do they earn with that land? If they do some farming, some agricultural products, if they have like a chop house over there. I told you that the Bang Khun Thiet area coastal erosion problem was so bad that 5-6 kilometers are gone. The sea already reclaimed it. And because of that, that's 5-6 kilometer area used to be covered by land, used to belong to someone, and that someone used to make benefit out of it. So can you do this, the calculation? Is there anything on biodiversity? Can you calculate how many species will be affected and so on? So these are the things that you have to be able to weight between the cost and the benefits. This is rough idea, but in real environmental economics, there are different kinds of calculations that you will see today. This is the economic value of coral reef, tourism and recreation, unit in billions of dollars per year, coastal protection, you know now how they estimate it, fisheries, biodiversity, and so on. And if you have these kinds of numbers, then people would understand that when you have coral reef, this is a benefit. Almost $10 billion per year, only for tourism. If you combine everything, is big. And then we will put more efforts in conserving it. Okay? Now the cost, I didn't mention over there, I tried to go a little bit on the cost side. In terms of cost, every action that you have comes together with cost. Pollution has cost, species extinction, resource depletion, loss of scenic quality are all examples of environmental costs. When we look at goods that have market price, you know the cost of it. I bought this one, I know how much it is, and I know that part of it go for the materials, part of it go for labor, part of it is the profit that seller need to earn. And then I got this number as cost. But there's no cost related to environment here. In order to produce these plastic parts, we have to take the crude oil and then do the plastic, making plastic out of it. That is exploitation of natural resources. Along the way, there's pollution coming. That is also the cost that it is not included into anywhere of market price. Yesterday, you have seen this demand and supply graph. Remember? And I told you that at this point, this is the price at equilibrium. And this is the quantity at equilibrium. And yesterday also I said that at this price, sellers are happy to sell, buyers are happy to buy. This is the happy point. But this part, this S curve or supply curve, you can look at it as cost of production plus some profit. So when you see that this is the price in the market that people are willing to sell and buy, you should think that for seller, this is already include all kinds of costs plus the profit that they will get. But the cost that I mentioned here is only production. Environmental cost is not yet included. If you add environmental cost into it, cost of clean-up pollution, for example, this is what I call environmental cost. You have any white paper with you? When you use the paper, the amount of money you pay for that paper, I'm sure this paper, when you bought the book, I don't know how much you paid for it. If it's 10 baht, just assume this 10 baht number. If it's 10 baht, this is the price of raw material, the production process and profit. During the extraction of raw materials, cutting tree, spin it into fibers, and then make the white color using some chemical bleaching to make the paper white, it creates pollution. Who pay for that pollution? No one. At the moment, no one. Because the industry, although they may have the wastewater treatment plant, not all of them have. So part of the pollution are being released into the ecosystem and surrounding people got affected. We call this externality cost or external cost. Environmental cost normally is external. The word external means outside. Outside of what? Outside of market price. External cost, this is mean outside of market price. So if you could calculate how much money you have to put for cleaning the pollution and you add into this part, your supply curve going to shift up. Your S12 going to shift to S2. This means cost of production, cost of environment, treatment, cost of the profit, make it higher. And because of that, the price become higher. You will see that when external cost is added into supply curve, into the cost curve here, price of goods increase and the quantity move. We can sell less. When price increase, let's say cost increase leads to price increase as well, plus quantity sold drop. And I'm talking as if there's only the bad side of the external things. You can also have external benefits as well. But we're not touching that part here. Okay, so if all the environmental costs are added into price of goods and services that you buy, everything will be higher. Everything will have higher price, and because of higher price, demand is going to drop. You see that the decrease in demand, quantity demanded drop. As a result, you have less quantity sold. So at the moment when you buy things, this is not there. Okay, so here, the environmental cost that I mentioned should be added into the market price. There are also the term deferred cost. These are the costs that may not be immediately recognized and must be paid later, like agricultural soil erosion. When you clear land in the mountain area to do agricultural activity, soil erosion is there. But there's no cost to it, and people don't realize until soil erosion change into landslide, change into flood in the downstream, and so on. That is deferred cost, and also this is not included into the market price of agricultural products. So when we buy food growing from the top mountain, top of the mountain, we didn't pay for this soil erosion cost. We don't know. Okay? These external costs are the ones that I just explained to you, are borne by someone other than the individual using the resources. Clean up of hazardous waste site is one thing. You have to pay even if you are not enjoying it. In my case example of that paper industry, who pay these external costs? Community who live next to the pulp and paper industry. They pay it in what form? In the medical bills that they got sick from the pollution and they have to go to see doctor. That is the cost. They absorb it. Are they the one who enjoy using the paper? No. Okay, so this is the meaning of the deferred cost and external cost. Any question here? ถามเลยถ้าไม่เข้าใจถามเลย deferred cost คือ cost ที่เกิดขึ้นในอนาคตที่เรายังไม่รู้ คือมันจะเกิดขึ้นแต่เราไม่รู้แล้วเราไม่ได้รวมมันเอาไว้ อย่างเช่นตัวอย่างครูที่บอกว่าเป็น soil erosion สมมติขอโทษนะที่ใช้ภาษาไทยแต่ว่าเพื่อความเคลียร์กันไปตรงนี้นะคะเพราะว่าหนูทำไร่ข้าวโพดอยู่บนยอดดอยวิธีทำไร่ข้าวโพดบนยอดดอยคือเผาเปิดหน้าดินทั้งหมดหว่านเม็ดข้าวโพดปลูกไป3 เดือนเก็บข้าวโพดเผาอีกทีเปิดหน้าดินอยู่อย่างนั้นเพราะฉะนั้นทุกครั้งที่มีการเผาเปิดหน้าดิน soil erosion เกิดแน่ๆถูกไหมคะถามว่ากว่าปัญหา soil erosion จะเห็นชัดว่าเป็นปัญหาใช้เวลาไหมใช้เวลาทุกครั้งที่เผามี deferred cost เกิดขึ้นในอนาคต soil erosion problem จะส่งผลอะไรบางอย่างผลนั้น1กลายเป็น landslide ได้ถ้ามีฝนตกเยอะขึ้นเพราะว่าตัว soil particle มันไม่จับกันต่อไปละนะคะอันที่2 soil erosion ไปบล็อกอยู่ข้างล่างน้ำท่วมอันนี้คือเหตุในอนาคตทั้งสิ้นถามว่าตอนปลูกข้าวโพดขายข้าวโพดจะคิดเข้าไปเลยได้ไหมว่ามันมีราคา soil erosion อยู่ไม่คิดให้ระบบตลาดยังไม่คิดแต่จริงๆมันมีคอสตัวนั้นอยู่อันนี้คือในอนาคตยังไม่เกิดณปัจจุบันแต่ตัว external คือคอสที่ไม่รวมอยู่ในราคาตลาดเหมือนกันสิ่งที่เหมือนกันคือทั้ง2ราคา2คอสนี้ไม่รวมอยู่ในราคาตลาด deferred cost เกิดขึ้นในอนาคตเกิดก็ได้ไม่เกิดก็ได้ไม่รวมอยู่ในราคาตลาด external cost เกิดขึ้นอยู่แล้วและไม่อยู่ในราคาตลาดอาจารย์ใช้ตัวอย่างที่เป็นโรงงานกระดาษเมื่อสักครู่บอกว่าโรงงานกระดาษผลิตกระดาษปึ๊บเอาไปขายแล้วปล่อยน้ำเสียออกข้างๆใครรับคอสตัวนั้นไปอันนั้นคือ pollution cost เนาะใครรับคอสตัวนั้นไปถ้าโรงงานไม่ทรีตน้ำตัวเองชุมชนรอบๆรับ pollution cost เท่าไหร่ถามว่า pollution cost ของชุมชนวัดด้วยอะไรถ้ารับสารพิษรับ pollution แล้วป่วยไปหาหมอจ่ายตังค์ไหมจ่ายถ้ายาเนี่ยค่ะเขา refer back กลับมาเป็นค่า pollution cost และประโยคที่บอกว่าคนที่จ่าย cost เนี่ยผลิตโดย1 คนที่จ่ายเป็นอีกคนหนึ่งนะ cost ผลิตโดยโรงงานกระดาษโดยผู้บริโภคกระดาษคนจ่ายค่า clean up พวกนี้คนที่ต้องได้รับผลกระทบคือคนที่ไม่ได้ใช้กระดาษไม่ได้เป็นอะไรจากโรงงานกระดาษเลยนะคะนี่คือลักษณะของ external cost คุณขับรถมาไงมาโรงเรียนป่ะตอนขับรถมาโรงเรียนไหมตอนขับรถขับมาคนเดียวเผาน้ำมันป่ะครูพูดเหมือนว่าถึงครูก็ขับรถเรียนนะคะเผาน้ำมันมาเหมือนกัน อนเผาน้ำมันได้ไปยืนตรงข้างนอกไหมสตาร์ทเครื่องเลยมีไหมทำไมอ่ะพอรู้นั้นเราปล่อยเต็มๆแต่เราไม่โดนแล้วเราปล่อยให้ใครโดนไอ้คนที่มันยืนเราก็เจอข้างผ่านป้ายรถเมล์เฮ้ยมันจะติดแบบจะได้หอมหน่อยอันนี้นิสัยเสียแต่ว่าเราให้หนูไม่ทำอะไรเลยขับไปเฉยๆมันมีไอค่อยเสียออกมาอยู่แล้วคนที่ยืนอยู่ริมถนนรอรถมาดีๆเนี่ยไม่ได้อะไรกับหนูเลยไม่ได้ประโยชน์กับการขับรถการเผาน้ำมันของหนูแต่อย่างใดแต่ต้องลงไอเสียเข้าไปทุกวันถามว่าใครรับผิดชอบ environmental cost ที่เราทำให้เกิดbenefit ใครได้เราได้บริษัทน้ำมันได้เนี่ยค่ะคือสิ่งที่เรียกว่า external cost
เราอย่างโรงงานอย่างเงี้ยเขาไม่มีค่า compensation ให้ community
มันมีต้องฟ้องศาลกันคือต้องพูดให้ได้ว่าไอ้ที่ป่วยเนี่ยป่วยเพราะอันนี้แล้วมันไม่ง่ายจะแพ้เนาะเพราะว่าชีวิตแต่ละคนมีแฟกเตอร์เข้ามามากมายถ้าโรงงานหนูเคยได้ยินข่าวที่แม่หมอปะโรงพยาบาลแม่หมอบอกว่าปล่อยชาวบ้านบอกว่าการเผาถ่านหินที่แม่หมอปล่อยก๊าซซัลเฟอร์ไดออกไซด์ออกมามากฝนตกมากลายเป็นฝนกรดวัวควายล้มตายหมดประชาชนเป็นโรคทางเดินหายใจแม่หมอก็วัดค่าออกมาไม่เกินไม่จ่ายไม่ผิดไม่ได้ทำอะไรผิดกฎหมายแล้วพูดได้ยังไงว่าวัวโดยที่ตายเป็นเพราะฝนกดจากฉันพูดยากมากถ้าจะจ่ายนั่นจ่ายด้วยแบบเป็นบุญเป็นคุณสงสารช่วยบ้างก็ได้เผื่อแต่อันนี้โทษโรงไฟฟ้าเต็มๆก็ไม่ได้เพราะว่าสแตนดาร์ดมันอยู่อย่างนั้นแล้วเขาบอกเขาไม่ผิดอ่ะแต่ปัญหาในสถานที่จริงๆคือแม่มดเป็นแอ่งภาคเหนือเนี่ยมันมีภูเขาเนาะเยอะนะแม่มดเป็นแอ่งเขาพอปล่อยควันออกมาปุ๊บมันข้ามเขาไม่ได้เนี่ยมันก็สตั๊กอยู่ตรงนั้นต่อให้มันไม่เกินสแตนดาร์ดตอนปล่อยแต่อากาศมันไม่ข้ามออกไปปล่อยซ้ำทุกวันมันก็แน่นนะคะทีนี้พอแน่นฝนตกทีก็ลงมาทีอย่างเงี้ยแต่ถามว่าลงไฟฟ้าผิดไหมเขาบอกเขาไม่ผิดว่าโลเคชั่นผิดแต่แม่มดก็แก้ปัญหาไม่ใช่บอกว่าเขาไม่ทำเลยนะคะในที่สุดเขาก็ติดไอ้ตัวสครับเปอร์ที่คอยดึงซัลเฟอร์ไดออกไซด์ออกตอนนี้ก็น่าจะอยู่กันโดยสงบสุขในระดับหนึ่งแล้วก็ให้ทุนไปดูแลคอมมูนิตี้รอบๆไปแต่กว่าจะมาถึงจุดที่ดูแลคอมมูนิตี้เนี่ยมันใช้เวลานานมากภาษาฝรั่งเศสทุกครั้งที่หลุดคำหยาบออกมาในคลาสจะบอก oh maybe excuse my French not English not Thai มันมีปัญหาแบบนี้ไม่ใช่ทุกโรงงานพร้อมที่จะแบบว่าโอเคฉันจะดูแลคนรอบข้างแต่มันคือคอสที่คนรอบข้างซัฟเฟอร์แต่เป็นติดไปตกเองคนไหนพูดเรื่อง externality แล้วมี positive externality ได้ไหมสิ่งที่ครูพูดมาเป็น negative externality นะคะทำให้คอสสูงขึ้น positive externality ไม่ได้คอสของการไปทำอะไรบางอย่างตกอยู่กับคนคนหนึ่งแต่คนที่เหลือ enjoy benefit อาจารย์จะยกตัวอย่างว่า7 คนนี้ฉีดวัคซีนไข้หวัดใหญ่ทุกปีเสียตังค์ฉีดวัคซีนทุกปี5-6 คนนี้ไม่ต้องฉีด7 คนเช่นกันไม่ฉีดวัคซีนหนูไม่ต้องจ่ายค่าอะไรเลยแต่หนูได้เบนฟิตโอกาสที่จะติดหวัดอยู่ลดลงเพราะไอ้กลุ่มนี้มันจะไม่เป็นหวัดไม่บอกใช่ไหมคะถ้าไม่มีใครฉีดวัคซีนเลยห้องนี้ทุกคนรับความเสี่ยงในการเป็นหวัดเท่ากันหมดพอมีคนที่ยอมจ่ายตังค์ฉีดวัคซีนเพื่อตัวเองจริงๆแล้วแต่ในขณะเดียวกันพวกนี้ได้เบนฟิตไปด้วยเพราะว่าการฉีดวัคซีนของคนกลุ่มนี้ทำให้7 คนนี้จะไม่มีวันเป็นหวัดถ้าที่เหลืออีก7 คนที่เป็นหวัดแล้วติดกันเองไปด่ากันเองเป็นหวัดที่ไม่หนักดูนะคะคุณให้เขากลุ่มฉีดวัคซีนโอเคนะคะเพราะฉะนั้น even negative external cost we have both sides and sometimes you call it external benefitsทีนี้ตะกี้ตัวอย่างวัคซีนเป็นเรื่องไม่ค่อยเกี่ยวกับสิ่งแวดล้อมถ้าอาจารย์บอกว่าบ้านนั้นอยู่ยอดดอยอีบ้านข้างๆปลูกข้าวโพดไถไปอีนี่ปลูกป่าไป cost ของการปลูกป่าอยู่ที่ตาล
อืม
benefit ของการปลูกป่าของอาจารย์อยู่ที่คนข้างล่าง erosion ลดลงน้ำไม่ท่วมอันนี้แบบนางฟ้าแต่ถามว่าข้างล่างรู้ไหมว่าข้างบนมีค่าใช้จ่ายในการปลูกป่านะ
อืม
ไม่รู้ก็ไม่พูดก็ไม่เป็นไรก็ดีแล้วไม่สนใจนี่คือ external benefit ที่เป็นด้านสิ่งแวดล้อมนะโอเคนะ Then if we say that there are environmental costs or this external cost, pollution cost or whatever, you can measure this pollution cost in two ways. One is to measure exactly the cost that you have to clean up. Once the damage happened and you have to clean up, how much did you pay? This is the cost of pollution. Another way you can measure pollution prevention cost if you put a lot of efforts in order to prevent this pollution to happen. That is also can be considered as pollution cost. The same thing with this seawall. In order to prevent coastal erosion problem, you construct seawall. This is prevention. But if you allow coastal erosion to happen, and then you have to solve it later. For example, you have to bring the sediment from up north and then put it there. You have to do the mangrove plantation. These are the correction costs later. That's the pollution cost. So there are two ways. Let the pollution happen, clean it, solve it. Cost is there. Don't let the pollution happen by doing what? Cost is there. And this can be used as the cost for pollution that we are talking about. Okay, so one is pollution cost, one is the pollution prevention cost. Examples of pollution, I don't have to go through. There are many things that you have. But then you have to do this kind of cost-benefit analysis. This is the quantitative methods to assess the costs and benefits of competing uses of resource or solution of problems or deciding which is most effective. What do you have to do? There are 4 steps here. Identification of your project, determination of all impacts, and then determination of value of impacts, and then calculate of net benefits. Something very simple. I believe that there will be a course that you have to do this cost benefit into details in this program. But I will just go very rough about it. But again, you see that not everything can be analyzed from economic points of view. Therefore, you have to assign economic value into it. And the one who do this analysis must decide which preference have standing in the analysis, do which option that you prefer. Now, in the US, they have the Clean Air Act. And after implement that Clean Air Act, the numbers of people who got affected from bad air quality decreased, and they could estimate the costs and benefit of implementing Clean Air Act. Now, if you look at here as the example, cost benefit analysis of air quality. What is the cost? First, you have to do the installation and maintenance of new technology. This is clear with market value, right? Market price. Scrubbers on smokestack, the one that I mentioned about Myanmar power plant and other factories, they have to put this scrubber so that when they emit the gas out of the production process, it is clean. Automobiles emission control, redesign of industry and machine, additional energy cost to industry and public. Why additional energy cost? To bring externality cost into it. And if you look at the cost that is increased, it covers all sectors. It covers industry. It covers household consumer sector. It covers the power generation, energy sector. So by applying cost, distribute this cost to every sector in the economy, it's cheaper and it's more effective because at the end you can do something. You can see the result. I will explain more in later. Retraining of employee to use new technology, costs associated with monitoring and enforcement. So these are the costs. And when I say that they kind of distribute it among all the stakeholders, you can think of, sorry, walking. ซื้อนาฬิกามันนับก้าวไปเดินเลย ตัวเมื่อวานต้องนับนะคะตอนนี้เก๋กว่าก็เลยเดินเยอะกว่า Now when we talk about air pollution, can you tell me source? Who release air pollution?
Industry. Transportation.
And when I say industry here, I mean those that produce goods and services, like manufacturing industry, but we also have energy sector, those who produce electricity, I separate them, okay? This is manufacturing, energy sector. What else?
Transportation.
This is both consumer, right? I would put this as transportation sector. Then you have household, HH in household, consumer. This is in form of energy. And if you look at the cost side, you will see that all the costs listed cover everybody. So when we implement this law, everybody have to share. Those who own a vehicle have to do something with their engine in order to release less. Energy sector have to install the scrubber, make sure that their emission has no sulfur dioxide. Consumer who consume electricity has to pay higher bills because part of the consumption that they consume also release, if there's no demand, there's no supply. So when you demand for energy sector have to produce energy for you, and that's release some. So you have to take care of it. So there will be some additional cost here. Industry also, you have to put new equipment into it, new technology that release less air pollutants. So costs are distributed. By doing this, these are all the sectors covered. If government only deal with energy sector, will it help? Yes, but smaller, because you deal with only one sector. This is the one who produce energy. But those who consume energy or different kinds of pollutants, we are not dealing with it. So your air pollution problem is solved, but only from one sector. The other sectors are not touched. So when the United States implement that Clean Air Act, they do it with all sectors, distribute the cost, and then they also identify benefit. Look at the benefit that they have. What is it? Reduce death and disease, fewer respiratory problems, reduce plant and animal damage, low cleaning costs for industry and public, more clear sunny day, better visibility, less eye irritation, fewer of all the problems. You see the difference between cost and benefit? Cost can be easily calculated. Benefits is difficult. Reduce number of deaths, You count by head. How many people could be saved from this act? Reduce eye irritation problem. How can you count it? You have to get the statistic from the hospital and calculate those who got eye irritation problem before and after the implementation of this law. Before implementations of law, people or patients who have eye irritation is this high. After implementation, numbers of people who have eye irritation should drop gradually because air quality become better, their eyes should be protected. And then you calculate the cost that they have to pay in total multiplied by numbers of patients and multiplied by numbers of patients after implementation of this law. And then you can compare. Now on the right side, this is the identifications of all the costs and the benefits that could happen. On the right side, you see economic costs and benefits and environmental costs and benefits so that you can calculate at the end final decision what are the things that you want to do. On this left side, proposed action, alternate actions. Every development programs or even law like this, we have different kinds of action. Yesterday I told you that life is full with alternative. Development project as well, full with alternatives. So you just have to identify all of them. And what are the total monetary costs of the project? So everything that we listed here, we identify monetary costs. What are monetary benefits? Calculate them. Compare economic costs and benefits. Now this is easy side. As I said, you already have some number. On the environmental costs and benefit, what environmental elements and systems will be affected with your action? What will be the consequences to human health and welfare? Easiest way to look at this is to look at human welfare. Look at the numbers of patients, look at the medical bills that you have to count down to goodness. What is it? I don't know what you're trying to do. Identify and quantify. Identify and quantify both of them. Establish monetary value if possible, both of them, and then compare. Then you're going to come here in terms of economics, who will cover the cost, who will enjoy the benefits, and here what consequence cannot be given a monetary value, what elements and system cannot be given monetary value, and then you do final decision. Consider economic and non-economic factors, and then you make decision which option you want to do, or all of them that you want to do. Okay. These are the numbers that they studied from 1970. They started implement this act in 1970, and by 1990 they looked at different. These are the air pollutants, the particulate matter, carbon monoxide, ozone, and then premature mortality, chronic bronchitis. These are related to respiratory diseases and other things. How can they calculate this into effect number? Annual effect avoided, you see. This is avoided. Pollution prevention. So by implementing this Clean Air Act, they could prevent 184,000 cases of premature mortality. And then they calculate that into value of human life. This saved life converted into value is this much. How can they calculate this value per human life? Assuming that we're going to live 70 years, 60 years, or you're gonna work for 40 years, average income of the people in the country is this much, and then they multiply, and then they get this number. That if you survive, if you don't die early, and you survive, and you enter into workforce, this will be the money that you will make. So when you save them this is also safe. Yeah, this is coming into the economy. That is how they look at it. Now, if you see here, they try to convert everything into monetary term. Even they lost work, 22 million days that people got affected from air quality problems. And if with this Clean Air Act, numbers of days that will be lost is reduced by this number, multiply with 83 per day, then you get huge benefits out of it. This is after the implementation in 1970. The starting point is 1970, and the different color here is representing different factors or indicators that they look at. Now the green one here, this is aggregate emissions, meaning that they combine 6 common air pollutants, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, NOx, everything, 6 common ones. And by implementing in 1970, by what year is this, 2000 something, is already reduced 68%. So the level of air pollutant released to the ecosystem is reduced dramatically. CO2 emission increased and then started to decrease a bit, but at least they can maintain. Without this act, this CO2 emission may go a little bit higher. Energy consumption up and maintain to become stable. You see this stable part of energy consumption, it's because of the control mechanism that they have on the energy consumer. What else? Population is increasing, vehicles might travel increase, but the energy consumption, this is probably in the form of this electricity. But here they still can travel a lot. The point is they still can travel more without releasing pollutants. If they did not force the vehicle or the transportation sector to change the engine type to combust, to have better combustion engine, what's going to happen is that with the miles travel increasing like this, pollutants are supposed to be increasing as well. Okay, so this is the point that they have to prove. By implementing those actions, you can travel more, but you didn't contribute to the pollution. And the gross domestic product is also increasing. People were arguing every time that we want to implement new things, they will argue that because of this high cost, GDP drop, your income drop. But actually it's increasing because you provide it in form of benefits in other sectors. For example, this gross domestic product, you can link it to numbers of days people can go to work. These 22 million days used to be lost because of air pollution. When we implement the law, 22 million days of labor coming back, and then you can produce more. That is why we have better productivity. Gross domestic product is also high. So when you do these kinds of analysis, normally it will take some time before you can see the effects of the study. If you look at, some of you might have studied EIA before, or even this cost and benefit analysis, you have to do some forecasting to the future. When you say that, okay, we do this and we have benefits, what will be the level of benefits after 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and so on, to give us, the decision maker, some forecasting number, and then they can make decision whether this is okay or not. By saying that we have to do cost-benefit analysis, what did not show in other slide is that you cannot just calculate cost-benefit at present. You have to keep monitoring, forecasting this number to the certain point, and then you make decision. Maybe we will touch that forecasting again sometimes later. Now, this is what I already mentioned, so I'm not going to talk about it in details. But the things that you will have to understand is how can you use economic instruments or tools to assess or to control the environmental condition or ecosystem services. In the past, we used this property right approach. What does it mean, property right approach? If something belongs to you, you take very good care of it, correct? How many of you have your own bicycle? If you have bicycle and you ride it in this university, when you park it, you will carefully lock, you will make sure that your bicycle is safe. When you use OFO, what will you do? You park it anywhere in the world, no one cares. It's not my bicycle. This is common goods, common property. Why is it my responsibility to take care of OFO? No, I'm not the one who destroyed this bicycle. But if it's your own property, if it's your own bicycle, you will make sure that it's safe, nice and clean, everything's fine. Is it true? So whenever we can assign, I don't have more slide on this property rights, so I'm just explaining. Whenever you have rights to something, you tend to take good care of it. The thing is, most of the environmental goods and services has no property rights. If one day I pack clean air in a can and I say, I'm selling clean air to you, 300 bucks, air from Himalaya, Everest, I went up Everest, which is bad because low oxygen level. But assuming that, or I went to Wang Nam Kieu. If you go to Wang Nam Kieu, you will see a sign that this is the area where you have very high ozone in Thailand, as if ozone is not toxic. But it's not for like inhaling. But they wanted to say that they have higher level of oxygen, and because of that, it's clean. If I pack air from Wang Nam Kieu and sell it to you, come on, get tired of Pathum Thani air. This is Wang Nam Kieu air. You inhale it and you feel better, fresher, with more oxygen feed to your brain. Will you buy it? It sounds crazy, right? Stupid. No, I'm not gonna buy air. Air is for free. So when you think that air is for free, water is for free, you don't have to take care of it. But if you assign property rights to goods and services, now air belongs to me. If there's a property right to air in Wang Nam Kieu and I have it, I have to protect it because that is my business. Whoever wants to build a factory near Wang Nam Kieu, I kill them because you're going to spoil my air. My property, I take good care. So, but this one, very difficult to use it with real natural resources. There were some fishermen community in the South America. If this is the coastal line, this is the sea. They have an area block. This block belongs to this community, and they have that agreement. So you who live here have to take care of the resource here. No one from outside this community can enter and catch the fish here. This is the assigning of property rights to local people. But this is like community agreement. It is not easy to provide such things. If I live here, and I think that this is natural resources and it belongs to everybody, why can't I go here and fish? And then I don't obey these rules, then everything collapses. No laws going to give the property like this. But in the past, there are communities that trying to manage such things. Now, instead of having this property right approach, government can implement several policies. The easiest policy is what we call command and control. Command and control normally involves setting up of standards. You see here ambient standards, temperature, air pollutants, level of air pollutants, level of pollutants in the water, emission standards. What is the level of emissions allowed by different industry? By new power plant, old power plant, they have different kinds of emissions allowance, and we call that standard. Performance-based standards. You have to use certain kinds of technology in order to perform your business. Technology-based standards also on the technology side. So these are the standards that government can issue, and then you have to do the monitoring. This is easiest one to issue. Difficult to monitor. Because if I say that we have this emission standard, let's say surface water, I'm saying that factory cannot directly discharge their wastewater into the river. How many factories follow that? Can government monitor every single factory? There are too many. They can only randomly pick up from time to time checking. They will go and check when they have complaint. But most of the time it's just like that. We let them go. Yeah? So easy to issue, but very difficult to monitor. I'm sure that is not all the factories have been monitored by government. What else about pollution? Sometimes the penalty is very low until factories happily wrongdoing whatever the law say. The law say if you discharge wastewater up to 1,000 cubic, let's say 1,000 cubic meter, is okay. So you will slowly discharge, control it. If government say when you discharge more than 100,000 cubic meter, then there will be a fine. This is against the law. But your wastewater is a lot higher. What will you do? You discharge one at a time, one batch. If government want to fine you, you pay. It's cheaper than constructing a wastewater treatment plant. And then another, once you accumulate it until 100,000 again, discharge again one more time. And not every time will be charged, for sure. No one knows. Unless you kill some fishes in the river and then people start like, oh, fish died, that factory. Then officer will come. But I don't blame them because they have very small numbers of people as well. And you can't control them. So you just have to somehow use different kinds of instruments altogether, not only command and control. There are two other kinds of instruments. One is called market-based. You can do this charging, having subsidies or marketable permits, allow them to buy and sell the permits to discharge, or some other market-based instruments. There are some other instruments, voluntary, education, zoning, fines, bans, many things can be done in order to control our environment. And the cost, I already mentioned this, so I will just let go. These are the tools: social cost, social benefit, externalities, public goods. These are the things I mentioned before, and it can be used in this control approach. Open access, these are the things that I mentioned also. Things that you have property rights, people normally take good care of it. Unfortunately, most of the environmental resources has no property rights, and as a result, no one take care of it. I'm going to just skip this part. Private decision, community decision, this is mainly on the property right things, yeah? Excessive exploitation of resources and so on. If you have time, try to find this concept of the tragedy of the commons. This is related to the property rights. Okay, let's skip. Now go to this excessive level of pollution. Before I told you that, let's have a short break before I continue. I think I'm talking too long. 15 minutes and 20 minutes break, and then come back. I'll be here waiting, and then we're going to finish this file today. Okay. So since early morning, we keep saying that we have to be able to convert everything into monetary value. And before the break, I was trying to explain that there are certain kinds of government policies on environmental control, environmental management, the property rights. Also, you will get some information in the handout itself. The command and control, which is the normal one, the basic one that every government will have it. But together with command and control, some of the government also implement what we call market-based instrument. And this market-based instrument include many things. But in order to do the market-based, as the name suggests, market, then there should be a way that you can value your resource based on the market price. So these are the valuation methods that normally used under market-based instrument. Sometimes you will see the terms like economic instrument, the same thing. But economic instrument or market-based instrument, both of them you will have to do the valuation of the natural resources or ecosystem services. So for these three groups of valuation methods, these three groups of valuation methods include the market price, circumstantial evidence, and the surveys. Now the new terms that you see here is the WTP. The WTP stands for willingness to pay. And if I come back to this graph again of demand and supply, I told you this morning that supply curve actually comes from cost plus profit. Roughly, yeah. But actually there are more details on this thing. Demand curve normally comes from willingness to pay. Yesterday, if you remember, I'm asking you how much would you willing to pay for this one? I use this word, willing to pay for this one. This is my checking for your willingness to pay. And then if I combine willingness to pay of everybody, I will get this curve. There are people who are willing to pay very small price. There are people who are willing to pay very high price. If I combine everybody in the economy, I will get the distribution like this. That is why I said that every demand curve is equal to the willingness to pay of consumer. Okay? So when you look at these valuation techniques, you will see that everything is related to willingness to pay in the market. But here, review willingness to pay. This is already something that you actually pay. You have this imputed willingness to pay or circumstantial evidence to somehow convert it. You will see what is the difference between the two. And this is express willingness to pay. You don't let it pay for it, but you express your willingness to do so. And this one is the most troublesome, because you know that you don't have to pay. Have you ever been walking and then people approach you with a questionnaire and ask you how much would you willing to pay for this and that? You don't even have idea, you just mark some number. this is express willingness to pay, and the accuracy is very low. Sometimes we stated higher than our real payment because you know that you don't have to pay. And sometimes you want to feel good about yourself. I used to have one questionnaire survey. You use laptop computer, right? Or even your mobile phone. When you change mobile phone, what will you do with your old one? Sell. How much? Just some number. If I sell my phone, I get very cheap. 3,000. นั่นซื้อโทรศัพท์ใหม่ได้เลยนะขาย iPhone ได้ 3,000 โอเค In case, how many of you keep your phone at home? มันจะมีคนที่ขายได้ อาจจะใช้มาสวยงามเครื่องไม่เยินมากนะคนที่เก็บไว้ที่บ้านมีกี่เครื่องเป็นช่างกูมีประมาณ4 เครื่อง
ตอนนี้กระจายไปหมดแล้ว
ใช้มาตลอดชีวิตทุกคนจะมีมากกว่านั้นแต่กูมีน้อยมีเอาให้คนอื่นไปบ้างเซอร์เวย์บอกว่าคนไทยทำ1คือเก็บไว้เองไว้ในตู้แปรซึ่งไม่เคยออกมาใช้อีกเลยชั่วชีวิตอันที่2คือให้ญาติอันที่3คือขาย
ไม่ได้ให้ใคร
4เอาไปเลยพวกสวนแก้ว Majority of Thai people keep it at home. Me too. Why we keep it at home? First, I don't know what to do with it. I'm afraid that my secret is going to spread out into the world. No, I don't have any, but just to make things up. Or my pictures, my ugly pictures that remain in the phone would be released into the world. So I keep it there. I didn't erase any data, I just leave it. That is one reason. Second, I don't know what to do with it. I know that to take it to shop, I can sell it. But with the models from 20 years ago, 100 baht maybe, or they even ask me to pay. They don't buy. So I may have to pay them, take my phone, please. So because I don't know what to do with it, I keep it. But if the government Thai government is now drafting a regulation on electronics waste, and in order to treat electronic waste, it's costly. So we have to share the responsibility. The seller, the one who produce mobile phone, have to take care of some cost. We as a consumer have to take care of some cost as well. My questionnaire was asking like, how much would you willing to pay for the treatment of your waste mobile phone? How much? The lower the better. At the moment, there's no law. And you think that once I have, that even if there's a law, I may not follow the regulation, I may keep my mobile phone in the drawer forever after as well. So I would say, okay, for one mobile phone, I'm willing to pay for the treatment of 500 baht. Not everybody. Most of the people say free. This is responsibility of the government to handle our waste, not us. But we use it, so actually we have to take some part. With these kinds of questionnaire that people know they don't actually have to pay, somebody stated higher than they're willing to do actually. To feel good about ourselves, to let the people who interview us think, oh, she's environmental friendly minded. She's willing to pay more to serve environment. No, actually no, I know I don't have to pay. Just to feel good. So express willingness to pay is actually the hardest one to identify. Now let's go to the market price first. We try to use value of some ecosystem goods or services that can be measured by using market price, measuring consumer and producer surplus. Some ecosystem service may not be directly bought and sold in the market, so you use these kinds of price people willing to pay for related goods instead. Now you see new terms. Consumer and producer surplus. Okay, come back to my graph. If I said that this is people willingness to pay, yeah? This is market price. And in the market, there normally one price, equilibrium price. If you're willing to pay this high, but you actually pay this low, how do you feel? When you expect to pay high, but you actually pay lower than what you expect, how do you feel?
happy
You go to supermarket and then they have like discount campaign, midnight sale, buy two get one free, buy three get two free, whatever. Oh, it's cheap because I value it higher. This willingness to pay minus price, this is willingness to pay minus the price line is what we call consumer surplus. And this is 100% feeling. You can save some money, yes, but it's the satisfactory feeling that you can get goods and services cheaper than what you're willing to pay. Because this willing to pay means you value the value of goods that you want to spend. So you value them high, you pay less, you are happy. So this area, market here, this shaded area, is our willingness to pay. Sorry, my consumer surplus. My happiness that we get it cheaper than it's supposed to be. Producer, if this is the cost line, has profit already. So sellers are happy to sell at this price. Selling it at this price, they earn sufficient. But the market price is high. See? So they want to sell at this price, happy, but market price is up here, even more happy. So the higher the market price here, market price higher than cost, which means more profit. In this area where I highlighted, willingness to pay minus cost, in this case is the supply curve, equal to producer surplus. In terms of producer, therefore surplus means more income, more profit. For us, we save more money and we feel satisfaction. So in the society, if market's working very well, you get this equation of total surplus equal to producer surplus combined with consumer surplus, which is this one. So this is market benefits, market welfare. Can we go beyond this? No. Because if you go here, price of supplying that goods is higher than what people are willing to pay. So we're not going to move this side anymore. So to maximize the welfare of consumer and producer, we should reach this point. Okay, so I'm explaining how to get consumer and producer surplus here because up there you see that we measure consumer and producer surplus using the market price. Price is important here so that you see the difference. Okay. Example, I give you some, we call it hypothetical situation. We want to estimate economic value of ecosystem products or services that are bought and sold in commercial market. This one simple. There are already some products in the market. My situation is that there's a water pollution caused the closure of commercial fishing area. We have commercial fishing area, people come pay and do fishing and then they get fish. But because of the pollution, this fishing area has to be closed. My question is, should you clean up or should you leave it like that? Clean up or not clean up, you have to find what are the benefits of the clean up and why are we using this market price method. The source affected here is fish, and fish has market price, so very simple, you use this one. Okay, some other example that you will see later, you don't have market price, so you have to look at some other related items. So if we're going to look at the market price and market data available, then you can come up with something. Okay, so application of this market price method. First, you measure total economic surplus. This total economic surplus, we measure it. For increased fish harvest after cleanup. Right now, the situation is that the fishing area is closed. If you clean it up, surplus will increase. Does it work? You have to compare it without cleanup and what is the cost of the cleanup. So the total economic surplus that I explained earlier equal to the consumer surplus together with producer surplus here. Okay? Then you have to estimate difference between surplus before the closure and economic surplus after the closure. Before the closure means you can get the fish at certain number and then you can sell it in the market. Yeah. Shit happen.
ไอ้เส้นข้างล่างก็คือแบบ WTP เหมือนกัน
เห็นไหมอ่ะ
ไหน
Next slide, what is it?
อาจารย์ค่ะ
Okay. ไม่ใช่จะเห็นอีกชาติหนึ่ง
มาเก็ตขายมากกว่าของ
ก็มีราคา
เส้นนี้อะเส้นเนี้ย
ทำไมอ่ะ
คือเส้นอันคือ WTP
ไม่ใช่ในคนทีวีดูเส้นยาวก็คือดีมา
คือดีมาก
คือความต้องการ
แล้วเส้นเนี้ยคือเขาว่ากำหนดว่าอย่างเช่นอาจารย์กำหนดว่าอย่างเช่นจุดเนี้ยเป็นจุดที่ Welling price ใช่ไหมที่เรากำลังจะจ่ายมันมากกว่า market price ที่ราคาตลาดตั้งไว้ก็เลยเหมือนแบบอันนี้ไม่เข้าใจเหมือนกันว่า
มันดูเหมือนถูกมันคือค่าถูก
แล้วแบบราคาที่เราจะจ่ายอะ
What is the price?
มากกว่าราคา price ราคาตลาดที่มันตั้งอะก็หมายความว่ามันเป็นแบบ
ไม่ใช่หมายถึงว่าสมมติว่าเราจะซื้อของอย่างเนี้ยเราคิดว่ามัน100แล้วตอนเนี้ยมันราคาแค่ประมาณ
So if you have
80
the
เราก็บอกว่ายินดีที่จะ
and you
มี
see
ความ
that
แบบว่าความสุขว่ามันถูกกว่าที่เราจะซื้อ
surplus
อะ
before the
อัน
closure
นี้คือเส้นนี้
equal to
อันนี้
price
คือ
here.
แบบว่า
อ๋อ นี่วิวลิ่งพอยต์มากกว่าราคาตลาด
ใช่ข้างบนอะคือ Welling Point มากกว่าแต่
Sum it up.
อ๋อ แล้วก็มีความสุขที่จะซื้อ
To identify the surplus area, you can simply find the area of this triangle. And that is the amount
และ
of
อันนี้ข้างล่าง
surplus.
เนี่ย
อันนั้นคือผู้ประกอบการ
อ๋อ
สมมติว่า
สะพายคอร์ส
คืออันนี้คอร์สมันน้อย แต่ว่าราคาตลาดสูง
เข้าใจแหละ
So if in your hand out the surplus before the closure is 25,000. This is consumer surplus, okay? And then the surplus after closure. When you close the fishing pond, what would be the amount of fish available? You're going to see higher price, okay? You're going to see less quantity. So this is the new surplus, new consumer surplus after closure. In your examples is equal to 9,000. You see the difference? when the pond, fishing pond is in business, you can catch a lot of fish, although the price is low, but you can get benefits. Here, fish is less, quantity available less, price also increase, you get the benefits of this amount. What is the difference between consumer surplus here, 1,600 US dollars? If you can go with the producer surplus again, you can also measure the producer surplus in your next slide, number 4. Estimate loss to producer by measuring loss in producer surplus. First, estimate the surplus before closure. So now, on this is the consumer side. On the production side, you also have the producer surplus before closure. And then you will have producer surplus before, after closure. You will see the difference between here. Okay? In your handout, it was 5,000 and 2,400. Can you calculate total surplus before and after? You can. 1,600, sorry, 16,000 plus the difference here, 2,600. This is the total surplus change because of your action. Now, what is the cost of cleanup? If the cost of cleanup is higher than this, some number, you shouldn't do it. This is the benefit that you will get if everything is in action. If the cost is lower than this, then you should clean up and then you will get the amount of the benefits back. 18,600. The way to look at it. If cost of clean up higher than this, you should not do it. If cost is lower than this, do the clean up, you will eventually get this money back. แล้วคอมจะเป็นอย่างนี้ไปอีกนานไหมนานเรียนแบบนี้ได้ Now for this market price methods, there are advantages and disadvantages that you should look at. For the productivity,
benefit to consumer 16,000 estimate consumer surplus after closure
ตามเลขาอีกที
closure 9,000 benefit คือ 16,000 estimate loss to producer loss in produce from second quarter before process 5,000 consumer surplus อันนี้ 5,000 produce after คือ 2,400
อันนี้คือลอสมาบวกกัน นี่คือลอสทั้งหมดเหรอจากตอนแรก 25,000 ใช่ป่ะ พอโค้ดไปมันก็จะได้แค่เหลือ 9,000 ผลประโยชน์หายไป 16,000 ใช่ไหมแล้วนี่ก็คือผลประโยชน์ที่หายไปทั้งหมด
ครูถ้าต้องสอนด้วยเขียนด้วยเราไม่ทำ
ก่อนหน้านั้นโปรดิวเซอร์ได้ 5,000 แต่หลังจากที่โค้ดเซอร์ไป 2,400 ลอสไป 2,600 ถ้าเปิดอันนี้อีกครั้งหนึ่งก็จะได้เงินตัวนี้ขึ้นมา โอเคเสร็จแล้ว
เรียนจบเราแป๊บนะโอเคเรื่องพระเอกโง่มากคนสอนอยู่ติดตัวเองคนอ่อนอะไรอ่ะจำติดตัวเองตัวเองเสียใจจะเจ็บกันที่เขาหล่อน้องตัว สอนไม่ได้
อืม
ก็ไปตั้งแต่บอกว่าแบบมีเวลาว่างก็ไปใช่ป่ะน่าไปนอนทุกวันเลยอะไม่มีวันไหนที่ไม่นอนอ่ะกิ้งไปกิ้งมาก็แบบแบบว่าไม่สามารถที่จะทำอะไรได้อีกตามก็ถึงเตียงกระโดดเลย
มีอะไรที่หน้าไหม
ค่ะ
ขนาดนั้นผู้ชายที่บอก
ถ้าเรียนนะใช่ไหม
ระหว่างนี้ถามครูมาถาม producer price จ้ะขอบคุณค่ะ I'm sorry ขอโทษนะคะขอบคุณค่ะที่เพื่อนไปที่
ไพคือมาร์เก็ตไพอ่ะ
เดินงงเลยใช่ไหม
ใช่แล้วนั้นเราก็งงว่าแบบ WTP มาจากไหน
ไหนอ่ะ
ราคาที่ขายของ Market Price ลบคอสใช่ถูกแล้ว ราคาที่ขายสินค้าคอส
นั่นก็คือลงทุน
ขอบคุณค่ะเจอกันนะกันตลอดเวลาพี่เขาก็ไม่รู้ตัว Okay, this is what we had before. The one that I tried to write down on the slide next to you. That if you're going to estimate the consumer surplus before the closure, that is what you will get. If the price of the fish is at $5 per kilo, and then per whatever the unit, and then the quantity demanded is that much, you're going to get that area of consumer surplus. This is after the closure. You get higher price because you have less fish available in the market, and as a result, quantity also less because of the closure of the fishing pond. So your estimate loss in economic benefit to consumer equal to what is missing. Okay, so the amount equal to this 16,000 USD. Now, but you look from the producer side as well. This is the loss to producer by measuring loss in producer surplus. You have to estimate surplus before the closure, estimate surplus after closure, and then you see the loss in the surplus of the producer. Combining, you have this total economic loss due to closure of 18,600. The benefit of clean up pollution in order to reopen is also equal to this amount, which means that if you clean up, this is what you lost, yeah? This is what you lost because of the closure. So when you clean up, it will come back. As a result, this is the benefits of cleaning up. But to judge whether you want to clean up or not, you have to see if the cost of clean up is higher or lower than this one. If it's higher than 18,600, it means you clean up and you get less benefit back. Cost is higher. Why are you doing that? We shouldn't. If you have the cost of clean up cheaper than this, then you should do it. And this is only 1 year estimation. You have to also think that how long this fishing pond is going to survive after that, and multiply by year, then you get more benefit for sure, because cost is only 1 time. Yeah? So this is how we should look at the market price method. I'm in a rush, so you should look at these advantages and disadvantages by yourself. Another method that we use is productivity. Now this is for the economic value of ecosystem products or services that contribute to the production of commercially market goods itself is not yet. But once you produce something and you can sell it, using that as the raw materials, then you can use these productivity methods. Example, we have a reservoir, a dam or a pond where you use it to produce city drinking water. And if this reservoir is being polluted by agricultural runoff, a lot of pesticides enter into the water. Agency staff want to determine economic benefits of measures to eliminate the runoff. If we want to stop this runoff so that our water become clean again. Why are we using productivity methods? Because the resource that we are talking about, which is water, is used to produce something with market price, drinking water. Water itself have no price, but drinking water has price. So you can use this productivity method. How to do it? Specify production function for purified drinking water. What kinds of inputs and outputs that you need in order to change your water from normal water into drinking water. There's a kind of input into your system. Okay, do you know where our drinking water comes from? Chao Phraya River, and then if you have a river, let's say Chao Phraya here, and then you have the water treatment plant, not wastewater, water treatment plant, meaning that you're going to divert this water into the treatment plant, and then out here you get drinking water. But now there's a lot of pollution here. So in order to use the polluted water to produce drinking water, you need to add more treatment. At present, we only do some sedimentation, just to remove the sediment, add chlorine, removing some of the pathogens, and then that's already tap water, but not yet drinking water, tap water. But if you want to make it into drinking water, you may need to add more technology here. With the polluted water, is it worth? This is the idea. Should we stop the runoff, or should we change the source of drinking water? So if you are the officer, then you have to find out. Now the term production function, you have to find relationship between inputs and output. What are the input that you have? This is output. You should produce more. This is input. When can you add input until your production is stable? If it doesn't stable or even drop, then you have problem. Normally production function, you add input until certain time. Adding more input doesn't change anything. Okay? So if you add all the treatment, chemical treatment, filtration treatment, chlorination, filtration, everything, sedimentation, and then you could produce resource by not adding more, then that's good. Okay, so you have to identify this chemical treatment, filtration, what other things. Estimate how the cost of purification change when reservoir water quality change. So with clean water, your input cost, clean water, input cost 1 million per year. This input come from chemical, come from sedimentation, come from all the process. With polluted, once we have pollution, input become 5 million per year, for example. Why 5 million? Because it's more dirty, you have to add more treatment into the system. So your cost increase. But the amount of water that you can produce remain the same. Okay? These are the things that are here. Try to estimate the cost of purification change when water quality change. So if it's clean, you spend 1 million. If it's more dirty, you spend 5 million. Estimate economic benefit of protecting the reservoir from runoff. So now you have to see if you want to control this pollution. Control cost. How can you, what is the amount of money you have to pay? If this example say we have agricultural runoff, a lot of agriculture along the way, what are the measures that you can put here to stop the runoff? If what you can put measures cost less than 4 million, you do it. Why 4 million? This is the difference between the cost that you have to pay. So if the measures, whatever you want to do upstream, cost less than 4 million, you should do it because the water once enter here, you spend only 1 million baht. But if the cost is higher, like 6 million, 10 million, you should not do it. You should move to produce your drinking water somewhere else because the cost here is not different. Or you just use it here. Implement more treatment. You don't have to move, but you put more treatment system here. It's cheaper than doing it upstream. So this is how you look, we compare cost with and without your measures. Okay. Hedonic pricing. Another way that we use the market price, the word hedonic in Greek means pleasure. And we normally use this hedonic pricing, particularly with land price. I asked you earlier today that do you plan, or if you have to select two sites, one is polluted area, one is clean area, which site you're willing to live in? And which price you're willing to pay more money to buy land in the clean side, of course. So hedonic pricing is normally used to compare land quality and price. We assume that people will pay more for clean land. So if your area, land A with good environmental quality, land B has bad environmental quality, people will prefer to live in land A, and raising the price from PA should be higher than PP. This is the idea. Clean land, clean environment, price of land increase. So when we use hedonic pricing, we only related that to pleasure while staying in some place, and therefore it's always related to land. Do you know why supply of land is a vertical line? Normally I draw a supply curve like a slope curve, because this one, if you add more factors of production, you can produce more. You can keep producing by adding more labor, more raw materials, more technology. For land, it's limited. Therefore, supply curve for land is vertical. No matter you change price, you cannot produce more. If you increase price from P1 to P2, you cannot increase the supply of land. This is the idea, that is why it's vertical. But here, if you increase other things, you can produce more. Okay? If you want to, this is the hypothetical situation, you want to measure benefits of open space preservation program in a region where open land is rapidly being developed. Why we use hedonic pricing? Housing price appear to be related to proximity to open space, and data on real estate is available in the market. So you collect data. I talk as if it's simple. You collect, because free land you want to pay more, but actually data on hedonic pricing is very complex. I think in total there should be like more than 20 to 22 kinds of data required in order to do the analysis, like selling price, location, number and size of room, neighborhood characteristic, and everything. So when we collect all these things, and then we could make a relationship between environmental condition and price, then you can estimate the price of your program. Now, statistically estimate function that relates to property value to the property characteristic, and then you can weight which function or which factor has higher influence on the price. Limitation, okay, here, no less than 18 variables, not 20. So huge amount of data is required, and also you need to make sure that your data is reliable. Last one for the market price is the travel cost methods. We use this one only when we talk about the traveling. So this one is very simple. You plot the travel cost on the y-axis, frequency of visit on the x, and then you estimate the demand function on what are the costs that they are willing to pay in each visit. So this is going to be the case of your travel cost. The higher the travel cost, the better the environmental condition, especially to the particular area where it is famous for visitors. I have this example. Recreational fishing area threatened by development in surrounding area. Resource agency staff want to determine value of program or action to protect fish habitats. Why are we using this TCM? Size is primarily valuable to people as recreational site. Expenditure for project to protect the sites are relatively low. So these are the things that you can do. You can do user survey data and do statistical analysis. These are the information that you may get. Most of the time it's like amount of time they want to spend, amount of money they want to spend, reason for the trip, is it for leisure or is it business, and so on. And then you can find a relationship with that. Okay. Now, because you ask people, earlier I told you that questionnaire on willingness to pay is very tricky because people may not state their willingness to pay. But for TCM, because we are asking people at the site itself, so you get the actual behavior, not the stated willingness to pay. inexpensive. And on-site survey also provide opportunity for large sample size and ask people, many of them that visit the site and so on. Have a look at this limitation yourself. Now, circumstantial evidence is another method that we can use. This is what we call cost-based approach. Yeah. Cost-based approach, we are looking at 3 types: damage cost avoided, replacement cost, and substitute cost. We let the damage happen and then see if we do this, what is the level of damage that we can avoid. If we replace it, what is the cost of doing so, and so on. So let's see that these 3 methods assume that cost of avoiding damage or replacing ecosystem or their service provide estimate of the value of that ecosystem. Now, if you think back to this morning when we talk about coastal erosion, and I said that we can construct a seawall, and then by constructing seawall, it will prevent coastal erosion. This is exactly cost-based approach. You use cost of avoiding damage, cost of avoiding the erosion to estimate the value of that ecosystem. The same example this morning. Let's see some examples of cases here. If we want to value improved water quality by measuring the cost of controlling effluent emission, we can use cost-based approach. What does it mean? If you put a lot of money, the first example, if you put a lot of money into controlling wastewater discharge, it means you think that clean water has high value. This is the way that we relate it back to the qualities of ecosystem. If you put less money into controlling effluent emissions or the discharge of wastewater, it means that you don't think clean water has high value. So this, instead of measuring clean water value, you measure the cost that you want to keep, you're willing to pay to keep water clean. The second one, valuing erosion protection service of a forest by measuring the cost of removing eroded sediment from downstream. I told you that if we grow plants or do agriculture in mountain area, we promote soil erosion. But we want to do some program. I want to do plantation, reforestation so that erosion stops. But how can I prove to people that by planting forests on the mountain, erosion stops, and what is the value of it? What is the benefit of that? So I compare it with the amount of money that people downstream has to remove the sediment from erosion. If I work my reforestation project on the mountain, you don't have to do that. You don't have to remove the sediment. So when I don't do reforestation, you have to remove the sediment. That is the cost, that is the benefit of my action up there on top of the mountain. Okay, so this is another cost-based approach. Somebody has to pay that removal of sediments downstream. Valuing the water purification service of wetland by measuring cost of filtering and chemical treating water. Natural wetland act as the wastewater treatment or water treatment system. If you let the water flow through wetland slowly, nutrients will be absorbed by plants, some of the sediment will be settling down. By the time that water comes out of the wetland, it is clean. So this is the functions of the wetland to purify water. And if you want to understand or if you want to estimate the benefit from this function, you look at the cost that you have to put into filter the sediment. Second, you have to treat the nutrients contamination, and then you get the total cost that you have to pay. And on that side, if you have natural wetland, you don't have to pay these costs. So this is the value of the functions of this wetland. But if you look carefully, these three examples have something to do with cost. That is why it is called cost-based approach, and it relates to the ecosystem function or service that you are looking at. Look at this one. Agency considering restore some degraded wetlands in order to improve their ability to protect surrounding area from flooding. Wetland also take water, like retention pond. Now, if we restore our wetland, then it can prevent the flood. Why are we using cost-based approach? Because you can look at the value of flood protection service of the wetland. You can look at the budget available in order to prevent flood and so on. Now, which methods you want to use? Damage cost avoided. Okay. You can estimate potential damages to property if flooding happens. And that is the benefits that wetland can help you. And if the cost of wetland restoration is higher than that or lower than that, this is your decision-making step. Okay? Replacement cost is not applicable here. Substitute cost is applied by estimating cost of providing a substitute for the affected services. Difficult? Okay. I have two sides. This is my active wetland, yeah? When I say active, I mean it's like function of wetland could be performed. One thing that wetland do is to act as retention pond. What is retention pond? When you have heavy rain, when you have water coming, it's kept water for some time. And because of this retention pond, this is a kind of flood protection. If you have another wetland degraded, how can wetland be degraded? When we change our landscape, this flow in of water can be blocked by construction. So if you block the movement of water into the wetland, road construction, housing construction, everything can be done to block the water. This wetland becomes dry and cannot perform this function. So when you block the flow of water into this wetland, water has to go somewhere, right? How can it go? Instead of enter to wetland, it moves some way, 5 ways. And then you have flood problem. Now you can prevent flood by not looking at wetland. You can construct many structures just to prevent flooding. But this already there's some cost to do so. To regenerate this wetland also there's a cost. Like you have to do this, you have to redesign the road and so on. So what is the cost? Whether it's worth doing. This is the idea. Question is, should we regenerate or reactivate this wetland? To reactivate, you have to change some structure here, and there's a cost. to it. Whether you should do this or you should do different kinds of flood protection. My question is, do this or other flood protection? I live in Langsit area. After that 2011 flood, now Langsit Canal has concrete wall higher than my head. If I walk along the wall it is not fall. So ugly. And it's poorly constructed. So the view is gone. But that 2011 years flood was, to me, is human error. So if you can manage the water properly, that shouldn't be happening. But because now governments are so afraid of the flood, they construct other flood protection methods. That walls, for example, diversions of waters, another thing. There's canals connecting the this wetland. Now to see, should you reactivate the wetland or should you go for flood protection methods? You have to be able to estimate. If you don't do anything, what is the damage that will happen? Do nothing. What happens? You're going to have flood. Then you have the damage that you can estimate into price. How much building has been destroyed, how many days business has to stop, what is the productivity drop, what is the level of production drop, and then you convert everything into damage and come up with some millions baht, billions baht, whatever. Well, we start tonight, not now. Then, which methods of the cost base that you will use based on my questions here? Damage cost avoided. If you know that without doing anything, this is the damage, right? Do nothing. No, even this one or this one, this is do nothing. This is the level of damage that you will have. So you can look at this one. If you do reactivation of wetland and you can prevent this amount of damage, then do it. If this regeneration or reactivation is cheaper, this is how you judge. You have to compare with do nothing. Yes? Do nothing, let the flood happens, there's a damage. If you do it, you avoid this damage. That is why the name of the method is called damage cost avoidance. So we're gonna avoid this damage. So if your cost of doing is cheaper than the damage, do it is worth doing. Okay? So estimate potential damage of property if flood were to occur. This is my basic. And then determine whether nearby property owner has spent money to protect their property from possibility of flood damage. Not only us, sometimes household already have some protection measures. Sum that up as well, and then you get this one. Replacement cost is not applicable for this example, but here substitute cost applied by estimating cost of providing substitute for affected service. If we say that affected service is the retention pond or flood prevention, can you do something else? This is the substitute cost. Okay, this is substitute. It performs the same function of protection. So whatever the measures that you have here can perform the same function with wetland by preventing the flood to happen. If the cost here is 100 million and doing this is 10 million, you should go for this one. This is for the substitute cost. But doing this, if it's cheap, then do it. Or you can do both. No one stop it. Or this one, damage avoided cost. So you see that I have three things that I consider. This is the proposal Should we do it or not? If we don't do this, should we do this? Substitute the same level. If you don't do this, you can do this. And it provides same function, flood protection. This one do nothing. And you can add that into the system, to the valuation method that we want to study. Any questions on this example? Okay, there's some advantage, disadvantage. And the last one, this is the survey one. Very simple, contingent valuation and contingent choice. This is more on the questionnaire type, okay? CVM, CCM. Again, we are asking willingness to pay or willingness to accept for compensation. If we're going to do this, take my same example. If we say that we're gonna reactivate the wetland, but we have to relocate people who live here and block the waterway, what is their willingness to accept compensation? I want to move them, I have to pay them something. How much would they accept? Should it be worth doing or not? If they're willing to accept something very high, and this is higher, then I don't do it, something like that. Now, willingness to accept is normally higher than willingness to pay. That is common sense of human. If I ask you how much you want to get, you always want to get higher than you want to pay. Okay, so when you choose to ask the questions like this, theoretically, it's supposed to be the same. Your willingness to pay for some services should be willingness to accept not to get that services. But in reality, the WTA is always higher based on human situation. Now, one example here, remote site on public land provides important habitat for several species of wildlife. Management agency must decide whether to issue a lease for mining, shall we send it to mining, or we should keep it as the area for other living things. So they must weigh the values of the mining lease against the wildlife habitat benefits that may be lost if the site develops. Why we are using CBN? Because this one has no market price yet. Species of wildlife has no market price. So you can use this non-use value at a potentially significant level. So there are different kinds of ways that you can get their willingness to pay or willingness to accept or whatever by using different methods. Open-end questions, like how much, ask simply. Closed-end questions, you have range of money that they are willing to accept or willing to pay. Bidding games, I can ask each of you to give me the number that you're willing to pay or willing to accept. Payment card also just like money, and then let you hold it, and then you feel that you have something, and then you make decision whether you want to do or not. You can also do some survey design. Some of you probably, I don't know, for your thesis, if you need to do the questionnaire survey as part of it, you have to design your questionnaire carefully. Know what statistic you will use at the end. And also test your questionnaire. How can you test your questionnaire? You draft it, you let people answer, and then you will see that the question that you intend to ask like this, people don't understand. I used to develop a questionnaire in Thai, in English, asking about green energy. Green energy, to my understanding, is like renewable energy from clean source. Then I have to do this questionnaire in Laos. So we translate the questionnaire into Lao language. So the student, Lao student, directly say green energy into energies like พลังงานสีเขียว พลังงานเขียว something. But they use the Lao language. And none of the Lao respondents understand what is green energy, because they have their own terms. So So when you use the terms that is not related to the person who answered your question and they don't understand, and we test it with many large students, check if you understand. And then every student have the same problem with that clean energy. Then we change it to the word that they actually use. So the testing is important because you may not understand the mindset of people who will respond to your question and so on. You can select your samples. How are you going to do this? Random? Or you're going to do stratified sampling based on income, rich people, low income people, and then compare many ways that you can do it. So I'm not going to get into details on these CBM things, but at least you should know that there are things that you have to consider when you do the questionnaire survey. So for contingent ranking, respondents are required to rank all the alternatives from least preferred to most preferred, or contingent rating. They should give the score, like 10-point scale. With this action, what is the point that you will give? And then by that, you do some comparisons and to get the results of what you do. For example, if we have different policy on certain tax policy, let's say that if this is the size of the land, this is the tax level, and ask the people to say, what is your ranking between these three options? Just example, but there are different kinds of questions. Or you can say that, how strongly would you prefer the following option? Now you see, here you provide three options and ask them to rank or rate which one you prefer. Here you have only one choice and ask them to put their preference. If they say 10, like, okay, they think this is okay. If they put like 2 or 3, they don't like this option. If many people put 2 or 3, then you should reconsider this option of your policy. Or which choice do you prefer between A and B? If you choose on this side, it's more onto B. If you choose on this side, it's more onto A, something like that. Or even in between and then do recalculation. So these are the kind of examples of questionnaire survey that you will have. Also, this is examples again. Which one do you prefer? Just check one. This is about the developments of the city, parking area and so on. Now, this is your homework, and because I don't see you many days, 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I give you up to Monday, so you have a break a bit. You don't have to work until midnight. I already checked your 2 assignments, so it's okay. I got every email. So this one submitted to me by Monday. Okay, Monday night, same deadline. And on Tuesday, we're going to look at environmental management system shortly, and in the afternoon you will do your SDG presentation, and then we have a week break from each other before we come back to see each other again with your KU friends as well. Okay? That's it. คำถามไหมคะ Any questions? No?
จุกว่ะตื่นสายทำเหมือนเป็นคล้ายๆทำ EAA อะ
เ ทุกที่คุ้มไหมไม่คุ้มแต่ถ้าเวทแลนด์คือมันอาจจะแห้งไปเพราะว่าเราไปบล็อกมอเตอร์เวย์ที่มันเข้าไปนะ เราไปทำลายพื้นที่ธรรมชาติที่มันฟังก์ชันไว้อีกอย่าง จริงๆที่มันรุ่มเป็นที่รุ่มมาก และไม่ควรจะก่อสร้างอะไรแต่เราก่อสร้างเพราะฉะนั้นตอนที่น้ำท่วมใหญ่ถามว่าทำไมเราได้บนน้ำไปทางตะวันตกแทนที่ไปตะวันออก
ก็สุวร
ตะ
รณ
วัน
ภู
อ
มิ
อกกลับมาตะวันตกนะ แต่เราได้บนน้ำไปนครปฐมแต่ไปที่ตะวันตก
ไม่อยากให้ตู้
เพ
เนี่
ราะ
ย
ว่าประชาชนแต่เดิมถ้าเกิดว่าปกติต้องแบ่งน้ำไปสองข้างต้องค่อยๆกันมีแอคทีเวตเป็นแรงทำให้น้ำมันกลับเข้าที่นั่นได้ทีนี้ส่วนภูมิเป็นเอ็กซ์ตรีมซึ่งเราแอคทีเวตมันไม่ได้ แต่ถ้ามันมีพื้นที่แฉะทุ่งน้ำอะไรธรรมดาที่เราไปบล็อกทางน้ำไว้เราไปสร้างถนนตัดลงไปอย่างเงี้ยค่ะทำท่อได้ไหมลองไป บางอย่างที่จะทำให้น้ำระดับต่ำซึ่งเม็ดแรกที่เคยเปลี่ยนมาให้ค่ะใช่เราหาเม็ดแรกมาแล้วแต่ถ้าหนูจะบอกว่าเป็นแค่เม็ดหนูสามารถไปขุดบ่ออีกบ่อหนึ่งได้บ่อแล้วก็ใช่เอาทำมันใช่แต่มันคือเคสเม็ดได้แต่ว่าบังเอิญในตัวอย่างปลูกแค่ฝันโพซิชั่นแต่ที่แต่ถ้าหนูจะทำให้มันมีรีเพลซเมนต์อะไรก็ตามที่ฟังก์ชันเดียวกันกับเวทแลนด์เก็บน้ำได้ แล้วสามารถกั้นไม่ให้น้ำท่วมได้ความแตกต่างของการขุดบ่ออีกบ่อหนึ่งคืออันนั้นเก็บน้ำได้ผลกระทบก็คือกั้นไม่ให้น้ำท่วมได้เหมือนกันแต่อันนี้เช่นไปก่อกำแพงไปทำอะไรต่างๆที่ไม่ให้น้ำเข้าต่างกันนะอันนี้คือ flood protection measure ซึ่งไม่ได้คุยเรื่องไปสร้างเวทแลนด์ การภายในเป็นเรื่องต้องการใช่ โดยเราไม่ได้เกี่ยวอะไรกับไม่เกี่ยวอะไรกับเวทแลนด์เราไม่สนเลยว่าจะเป็นที่เก็บน้ำไหมแต่เราแค่ไม่ให้น้ำเข้าเมืองแค่ไม่ให้น้ำเข้าเมืองป้องกันอันนี้คือเอาน้ำเก็บไว้ตรงนั้นก่อนน้ำไม่ให้เข้าเมือง replacement ก็คือไปทำฟังก์ชันที่
แกที่ใช่
เรามาเช็ค
อ๋อคือ replacement คือหาที่อ
อื
ยู่บน
ม
บ่อขยะภูเก็ตสิ
แต่ตัวที่เข้าคือเรื่องสม
น่าถือ
ไม่ใช่เหตุการณ์เกิดขึ้นจริงแต่ว่าสมมติเบสออนมีผ่านบางอย่างนะคะแล้ว situation แล้วก็มีตัว concentrate ด้านหลังที่เอาที่แบบตัวค่ะใช่ใช่คือใน productivity เราไปมองว่ามันไปเพิ่ม productivity หรือลด productivity cost ที่จะทำให้ผลิตน้ำได้ปริมาณเท่าเดิมเมื่อกี้ที่คุณยกตัวอย่างว่าน้ำไหลมาแล้วต้องผ่านกระบวนการผลิตใช่ไหมคะถ้าเราปริมาณน้ำผลิตเท่าเดิมแต่ต้องใช้เงินเพิ่มขึ้น
ก็จริง
อัน
อ่า
นั้นเรียกว่า
เป็น
productivity ตก
productivity
ถูกปะแปลว่าไม่คุ้มแต่ถ้าเป็นเรื่อง cost base คือทำกับไม่ทำเนี่ยราคา
ราคาเท่าอืม
คุณจะใช้แบบไหนก็ได้เพียงแต่อันนั้นที่เลือกใช้ productivity เพราะว่ามันมีราคาของน้ำที่เราผลิตให้ขายชัดเจนต่อไปไม่ฟังตัวอย่างถามหมอครูข้อ A ก็คือให้เลือก variation ในกับประกอบกับทำไมเนาะ proposing housing development project near Nasik campus partner reject the idea saying housing development is so private market เพราะว่าโรงงานเยอะสิ่งที่เราต้องทำคือ อาจารย์กับเพื่อนจะพูดไปทำบ้านจัดสรรครูบอกว่าจะทำแถวรังสิตนี่แหละเพื่อนบอกว่าไม่เอาไม่ทำแถวนี้โรงงานเยอะไม่มีคนซื้อครูจะรู้ว่ามีคนซื้อคือใช้วิธีในการเวทว่าถ้าทำรังสิตจะทำความใหญ่
ความต้องการของคนถ้ามาสำรวจ
ทำจำนวนประชากรในพื้นที่เนี่ยเหรอนั่นจะเอาจำนวนประชากรมาจากไหนอะ
โรงงานอยากอยู่บ้านใกล้ๆโรงงานบ้าง
ไม่ได้
แล้วถ้ามีที่ให้หนูเลือกว่าที่โรงงานหรือที่ไม่โรงงานหนูเลือกอันไหนแต่อย่างที่อาจารย์บอกเวลาพูดอาจารย์ยกตัวอย่างแค่ด้านสิ่งแวดล้อมนะบอกว่าปีแอร์โรงงานที่โรงงานเราจะอยู่ตรงไหนเราอยากจะจ่ายค่าที่ดินตรงไหนถ้าหนูไปถามทำเซอร์เวย์กับทุกคนว่าอยากจ่ายที่ดินที่รังสิตไหมกว่าจะได้ราคาที่หลากหลายแต่มันมีคอนดิชั่นอาจจะสถานที่ใกล้ทำงานไหมแต่พวกนี้ก็มันมีแฟกเตอร์ที่บอกว่าที่จริงๆแล้วคอมเพล็กซ์มากถ้ามันต้องใช้เดต้าสูงมากมันไม่ใช่แค่เรื่องสิ่งแวดล้อมที่กำหนดส่วนภาษีแต่ในกรณี
พนักงานโรงงานก็ต้องอยู่ใกล้โรงงานที่สุด
ที่ของที่ใครจะทำตรงนี้ได้ไหมในเมื่อเป็นแยกสิ่งแวดล้อมก็อาจจะต้องทำเซอร์เวย์เรื่องราคาที่อยากจะจ่ายเวลาเราจะสร้างบ้านจัดสรรเราจะมีกลุ่มลูกค้าราคาของว่าบ้านฉันจะประมาณ5 ล้านอยู่ในโซนรังสิตใครจะซื้อไหมนั่นคือการประเมินตลาดว่าเขารับได้ไหมถ้าสภาพแวดล้อมทีนี้ถ้าหนูจะใช้ market survey อาจจะต้องไปลงลึกขึ้นไปอีกว่าอธิบายมาไม่ได้ว่าการอยู่ตรงนั้นถ้ามันมีผลกับความสามารถของเราไหมแต่มันก็ต้องดูคือเป็นสูตรของคนที่จะมันมีความซับซ้อนที่ต้องเรียนได้อันนี้ถามคร่าวๆไม่เป็นข้อมูลจริงเอาแค่ที่หนูพอจะเข้าใจในเลคเชอร์วันนี้แล้วบอกมาว่าถ้าเป็นสิ่งที่หนูคิดว่ามันน่าจะใช้วิธีนี้เพราะอะไรแล้วก็ใช้อะไรบ้างใช่แล้วอะไรนะคะลองเข้าทางมานิยามแบบนั้นเผื่อค่ะแต่ไม่ได้ต้องแบบ5 หน้าเลยนะไม่เกิน2 หน้าไม่เกินเผื่อคุณจะอธิบายอะไรแล้วมีด้วยว่าเพื่อนอธิบายเนาะถ้าเราตอบ3 บรรทัดก็จะรู้สึกว่า
มีไลฟ์สไตล์ด้วยใช่ปะ
ถ้าบอกว่า
งาน เอาเว้ย
เอาไว้ขึ้น
หลับ ให้อะไรนะ ให้ว่าใช้วิธีไหนแผนอะไร
เราต้องดูอันนี้ว่าโซเชียลอะไร
แล้วก็ต้องมีข้อมูลอะไรประกอบบ้างในวิธีนั้น
อืม
แล้ววิธีมีวิธีอะไรบ้างอะตามนี้เลยทั้งหมดนี่เลย
ถ้าเลือกไปเซอร์เวย์ก็ต้องเลือกอันนี้อีกไม่เข้าใจ การไปนั่นตอนไหนอ่ะ ไปสำนักทะเบียนตอนไหนอ่ะ
กินข้าวตอนนี้เขาพักเที่ยง
เขาพักเที่ยงถึงบ่าย
เดี๋ยวกินข้าวเสร็จกาแฟ
เราไม่มาฟัง
บ่ายครึ่งเลยนัดฟังอ่ะ บ่ายครึ่ง
อ๋อเข้าแล้วนี่อ้าวแล้วขึ้นแล้วมีรูปสแกนรูปเปล่า
เมื่อคืนอ่ะจะทำแบบจะส่งละแต่ว่าพอจะปริ้นว่าตัวข้อมูลแล้วมันผิดอ่ะคือเหมือนแบบเราก็ตรวจแล้วนะแต่ไม่รู้มันเปลี่ยนการก็เป็นเหมือนเราเลยไอ้ตรงแบบสถาบันเดิมที่จบอ่ะไปขึ้นเทคนิคอะไรก็ไม่รู้การก็เป็นงง
สวัสดีค่ะอยู่หน้าไหนดิ
หน้ามัน
อันนี้ใช่ไหมนี่ใช่ไหม
ไอแบบนั้นมีอะไร
เนี่ย
หลาย
อั
ตั
น
ว
นี้ทุกอันอยู่หน้านี้ใช่ไหม
มีชิบหายไว้ว่าตรงเนี้ย
อยู่ดีๆก็มีเวลาแล้วก็ไม่เป็นไร
คือมึงหงิกอะดูดิติดเป็นแบบแดงเลยอะ
เมื่อกี้อาจารย์เหมือนพูดไฮโดรวิธีไฮโดรยังไม่เข้าใจด้วย
ว่าหน้าไหนมันหน้าไหนเรียงถูกเลย
นี่ไงมีเลข
อ๋อตกใจคุณพระเด็กเยอะอ่ะตอนบ่ายเราอยู่ห้องอะไรเนี่ย
ห้องนี้แหละ
อาทิตย์หน้าศาสตร์จีนอะ
วันนี้น่าจะตีแม่เขาตีผมก่อน
ตกลง22 23ไม่ต้องเรียนไหมจ๊ะ
นี่ดี
ใช่
งงอะ
27 28
บ้านฝ้ายไหว้วันไหนศาสตร์จีนอ่ะ
ก็เอาวันเสาร์เอาวันเดียวไม่ใช่หรอ
ก็แบบว่า บ้านเรามันชอบแบบไหว้แบบไม่ตรงวันอะไรอย่างเงี้ย
อันนั้นมันเชงเม้ง
ไม่ทุกอันเลยสัตว์อาจจะเลื่อนมาวันหนึ่ง2 วันอะไรเงี้ย
ห้องนี้เหมือนเดิมเหรอ ใครว่า
ตรุษจีนก็ได้ ไปกินข้าวก่อนปะหรือว่าไงมันปิดไม่ใช่เหรอการ อุ้ยไฟแล้ว
น้ำชั้น2 205เรานี่คือเรียนทะเบียนอ่ะไม่เหลือคือกำลังจะเหลือแบบว่าเอาส่งก็จะใส่ลูกแพรแล้วก็กำลังจะตีนี่เป็นก็เอาฝากไม่ทำก็ไม่เอาเหลือที่สแกนแล้วไฟก็คือเล็กที่ยูต้องอัพที่ไหนอ่ะก็เดี๋ยวส่งไปนั้นเลย2 อันในของ6 ตัวอ่ะมันไม่ได้พูดอะไรคือแต่นี่ยังไม่ได้อ่านดูคร่าวๆอ่ะไม่เห็นมีอะไรแบบแผนมันบ่าย 2มันบ่าย 1:30ก็ไหนจะผิดแต่ของมันไม่ผิดอ่ะมันก็มหาวิทยาลัยธรรมศาสตร์ ผมมัดแน่นมากเลย ผมมัดเรื่องการผมมัดเนี่ยเก็บชุดเนี่ยที่เป็นใบเนี่ยใช่ผู้หายธรรมศาสตร์เพื่อนเป็นอะไรไม่รู้อ่ะเราไปร้องไห้เปล่าแต่ว่าเราไม่หญิงขึ้นจังหวัดได้เองนะถ้าแล้วมาเวลาพี่บอกมาไม่เห็นขึ้นจังหวัดนะก็ช่วยเหมือนกันเป็นแบบนั้นมีพี่ถ่ายหนังเองไงพี่ก็ถ่ายเองแล้วก็สิขอไฟล์เพิ่มก่อนนะไม่ขอไงแล้วก็แค่ได้ดูเสื้อนะเว้ยมีลายไหมจ๊ะรู้สึกมีลายมีรูปปกเสื้อแบบว่าจะเลือกไหนเนี่ยชุดไหนเนี่ยมีทุกอย่าง
ตี้ไปไหนเนี่ย
กินข้าวดีกว่าที่มีกว่ากันอะไรเนี่ยเห็นพี่ว่าวันเมื่อวานไม่กินทุเรียนทอดเมื่อวานไม่ลืมเหรอไม่ได้กินสักทีก็ใครเอาไปอะเก็บไว้ให้นี่เก็บไว้ในรถเอมอ่ะลืมเอาไว้หมอบ้านแอดทำเหรอคะใช่ผลิตเองเลยนะผลิตเองแบบว่าผลิตเองเลยแต่พวกมีโรงงานมีโรงงานมาเอสซีเป็นที่ผสมพักเป็นที่ที่เรียนอะไรทำเรียนไม่น่าจะพอน่าจะดังที่เราน่าจะดังตรงนี้
ไม่ดังหรอกไม่โกรธคนทุกคน
เธอก็ขยับเข้ามา
ก็เสียบเข้ามาสิเมือง
กดก็ไม่กดนะอยู่ข้างหน้า
ทำไมลิ้นดีจัง
เขาให้คนพิการก็มันดึงแค่นี้ถ้าอยู่อย่างนี้เลยก็เอ้าโอเคกดไปเลยโอ้เรามาทางลิฟต์อะไรนะเดี๋ยวมันเปิด
หนีหีบ
โดนอ้าวทำไมรู้ อะไรอ่ะอะไร
หันในหัวเร็วมากเป็นอัตโนมัติ
มิงเห็นเฉยๆอย่างเงี้ย
อ๋อเหรอ
เราจะไปสำนักทะเบียนใช่ก็ไปที่ไม่ได้เราต้องเดินขึ้นเป็นคนละหรือว่ามันไกลอ่ะคือแบบว่าถ้าเป็นของเสียก่อนลงน้ำเลยอ่ะแล้วที่ความใจใช่ไหมก็จะบอกเราแบบซื่อแต่อันนี้ไกล
อันนี้คือคือโรงเรียนอะไรแล้วใช่ไหม
แต่ของพลอยยังไม่ได้
อ๋อมา
น่าจะแล้วแต่สาขาแบบว่าเหมือนเขาบอกต้องรอให้แบบคณะเราส่งไปเอง
วิชาจังเด็กเยอะตลอดแกเกรดนี้ออกหลังสุดอ่ะจำได้เลยที่เราเรียน
แม่อย่างเราเรียน1 เทอมใช่ไหมออกไม่ค่อยหมดเลยแบบจะสอบกลางภาคแล้วเกรดเทอม 1ยังออกไม่หมดเลยอ่ะไม่เก็บเงินค่าเทอมไว้เกรดออกเยอะ
ใช่ ออกทีละแบบกระติกกระจ้อยอ่ะ
มหาลัยอื่นเขาออก
บูมพาวเวอร์อ่ะ
แต่ SI ก็ออกตู้
หรอ ออกตู้ทีนึงก็ช็อกไปเลยครั้งหนึ่ง
ตายไปเลย
ตายคือ
ตัว ที่เกดไม่ออกเพื่อนโทรไปหาอาจารย์ทั้งหมดผมเกดเองค่ะผมยังไม่ได้ตรวจสอบข้อมูล
ใช่ ไหนอะไรวะ อยากกินกุกินอะไรดีวะกินยำอยู่ป้าเด็กไม่กินมานานหืมกินยำไม่ มันมันอ่ะ มันแบบมันเขาใส่น้ำมันอ่ะ แต่เราก็บอกเขาจะไม่ใส่แต่เขาบอกมันเป็นยำที่แปลกว่าเพราะเป็นยำผักบุ้งที่ไหน ยำยูป้า เป็นยำที่เป็นยำ